I'm glad that I'm last up, because I knew that that the rest of the presentations before me would lay the theories out and all the important stuff that you needed to scribble down notes on. And I'm just going to talk about my experience with Artfundi. And here we go. So I've created this development kind of cycle, which resembles the ones that you've seen and that are out there. This is basically how ours went, and I think it's sensible to some extent the way that it goes, but it's also truthful in the sense that what really happens, because you look at all of these models that are out there, and it's great, but the thing is that you get to start looking at those models after you've probably developed your MVP already. And if you're a first-time founder, next time around, I will know a lot more before I start. But for me, this was a first. I'd had a number of businesses before, so you could say I was a business owner, and I'd had successful businesses, run successful businesses in different categories. And this was like the first time I would call myself a founder, because it's the first real startup. So startups are very different to other like consulting businesses and art galleries, which is what I owned before, and especially technical startups. So the first step around conceiving of the idea and doing your user research and proof of concept, I'll talk a little bit about our process around that was a little different to some. Then step 2 is around design and develop the product. So making the MVP, testing it on a few customers and getting feedback and iterating. Then step 3 is around launching. So that's the marketing stage. And there's a lot of product development that happens in that marketing stage, because suddenly you're going from a few customers to quite a few more customers, and you're having to make sure that it's easy for them to find you, which is partly marketing and partly you're moving around inside the product, easy to buy, easy to get value out of once they start using your product. That quick kind of from signing up to getting first value needs to be quick, and you're getting a lot more feedback, and you have to iterate a lot faster. And then step 4, then supporting that product, especially if it's a technical product and it's growing and you're having to deliver on your promises, which people don't expect your service to go down or your software to crash, or your service providers to not be there when they said they would be there, or whatever. So you've got to deliver on your promises, and you're going to mess up. So if you do mess up, own up and then fix it quickly. And then step 5 is around delight. So by now you've worked on a lot more of that feedback. You've grazed your knees a couple of times, hopefully recovered quickly. Now you can really focus on delighting your customers, and that's working on user experience, working on design, and trying really hard to delight them beyond their expectations, because then they start to become your salespeople. And this is also not a perfectly one stage follows the other linear process. It's a little bit messy, and some of it overlaps. I'm going to just tell you a little bit more around what I experienced, what I'm experiencing still. So around step 1, conceiving the product, I've sort of divided all of these stages for the purpose of explanation into wins and challenges that I experienced. For me, that stage was quite easy to win, because I had a very deep knowledge of the market. I was living the pains. I was the customer. developed the product initially to solve my own problem. I have real empathy for all the customers because I was one and I've been in their shoes for a long time. And that really, really, really helped. And so I could very quickly, by the time I decided to become a startup, the product was already conceived, the MVP was already built, I was already using it. But I experienced some other challenges around briefing in a technical, writing that brief out for the build of the product was interesting and challenging. I had to learn how to do that, working out the budget, which got blown, dealing with that along the way and getting a lot better at that along the way. And the timing all took longer. And then being offered, as people started getting excited about what we're doing, being offered a big opportunity that took us off on a distraction. I've told you about that in the past. And that is a challenge, especially in this early stage. Then in that second stage around actually designing and developing the product, as I said, we had the MVP essentially already, so we could test that really early, even though it wasn't going to be the product we could possibly take to market because it was a single tenanted piece of software and we needed to build a multi-tenanted software. But it had all the features, so we could take it and clone it out, test it and sell it, see if people would buy it, see if it solved their problems. So I got to work really closely right from the beginning with actual paying customers, which was an enormous win for us. And then we could release new things on the basis of that. We could release the second, phase of the product as we went along, still keeping those customers. So that was hugely helpful. It also allowed me to bootstrap the company. So I've put bootstrapping on the win side because I think it was a real advantage at that early stage. But being non-funded is also a challenge. So it's a dichotomy. Focus. In the case of our product, it's got a lot of features, quite a lot of features. It's not a very simple product. It's mission critical for an art business to run their entire business. So it does do quite a lot of things. But still, it's tempting to want to go, too much too quickly. And that's a constant thing that we just have to stay. I'm the kind of chief focus officer, but also the one who gets tempted. So it's interesting. So, and that comes to clarity as well. So just being really, really clear about what it is that you're doing all the time, clear enough to explain it to other people. And here's where the challenge of not being funded was. If I'd had to explain or create that kind of clarity for investors earlier on, I think I would have nailed it better, the clarity and the focus, because I would have been forced to give other people, give investors that level of confidence. And because I didn't have to, it was me, it was a bit of a challenge. So then the launch phase, for us here, my wins were launching with those paying customers already on board. I spent a lot of time, and this was a really good idea, I spent a lot of time putting a lot of playbooks together. So I put a lot of preparation into the launch so that we could remain a very lean business and build a lot of automation into the product and business. Because the challenge later on as you grow is you get funded, but so now you've got more money, but you've also got more people because you're hiring, and now you've got to budget that out with more, much more sort of focused people watching, and you've got to deliver that return on investment. And so being able to then pull out those playbooks and give them to your staff so that they can, the new hires, so that they can get on board quicker, all be on the same page is really, really helpful. And then step 4 around supporting the product. I think for me personally, a win was about being as resilient as I am, but and that really comes from passion. So I think because I've got such an enormous, deep, genuine passion for this industry, I can completely see myself being on this mission without failing, no matter what it throws at me for the next 10 years. That makes you really resilient, and it helps a lot. Our product has quite a lot of stickiness. So those first customers we onboarded when the product was horrible and ugly and old are still with us. They've evolved with us. They've changed to they're now on version 3, but they're still there. So there's a nice amount of stickiness there. At this stage where the business is starting to be exported, we're starting to attract interesting partnerships. And I liked what Anthony said about how fast things are changing. And I mean, in our world, the whole blow up of kind of the world of NFTs, the metaverse coming on, it's all happened in this last year tremendously fast. And through a partnership, I was able to bring that on board and get really nicely ahead on some of that future stuff, because that is where our world is going. And managed to attract funding, which is fantastic. But then the challenge, then you start to face those challenges of different time zones as you have more and more customers in different geographies around the world, and you don't yet have staff in those geographies. So I'm doing a lot of late night, like tomorrow night I'm doing a midnight call. You just have to deal with that. And then investors, now you've got these people that you're responsible to give them a return and to give them feedback all the time. So that's a new challenge for me. And my most favorite part, which I'm trying to bring that delight has been in my mission from the beginning in terms of product development. I put 3 things right from the beginning. I said, we're going to focus on delight, design, and care. And we weren't, as we get further along in product development, we're getting more time to work on the delight stuff. And that really is it's so lovely to ship some new feature to somebody and to the customer, and that it's going to really, really delight them. It's great for the team as well. And then your customers start saying to you, where can I leave a review? Where can I, how can I get involved? And you phone to ask them. At the beginning, it was really hard. I had to sit and think, who can I get a case study from? Oh, that person we gave the thing away for free to, they owe us. Now it's sort of picking up people that you just know. I had one today, the Department of Arts and Culture, phoning and practically sort of singing on the phone. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And that just lights up your day. The challenges as you grow at this stage also, though, are around culture. Your team culture in the business as it's starting to grow and you're starting to hire people. So I'm in the hiring process now. I'm sort of thinking around culture fit a lot, as well as their skills. And I'm anticipating there will come a time when I have to look closely at myself and say, are you still the best person to be the CEO of this business? I don't know. We shall see. But you have to face that. And to end, this quote by Seth Godin, waiting for perfect is never as smart as making progress. Thank you very much.